you
And
want to call people to?
my hope is that we listen to our better angels and listen, like you said when we first started this conversation, like you want this podcast to be about listening. Listen to God, listen to the better angels within you. You're a fractal expression of God. You're not here to hurt people. You're not here to hurt yourself. You have to love God and therefore love yourself because God's within you. So if you love God, you have to love yourself. And it starts with that. It starts with a self-love and self-respect. And then a lot of people, I think, like in a Jungian sort of way, project the parts of that they hate about themselves onto other people so they could hate those other people. So we have to integrate our shadow and the dark parts of ourselves and accept it and come to terms with it. Otherwise, we project it onto other human beings. We dehumanize them, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Well, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Faith Roundtable. I am your host, Josh Burtram. I'm also the co-host on the Faithful Politics podcast. Happens right here in the same channel, so make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, doing stuff that hacks the algorithm, because we need content like this out there right now because people are going crazy. I don't know if you've noticed. And so we are trying to bring hope, inject logic, reason, some kind of, even absolutely faith into what's happening right now. And so anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Of course, this is a Faith Roundtable, guys. This is where we interview all sorts of Christian leaders, thought leaders, scholars, theologians, pastors to talk about what's happening with Christianity in America, faith right now. And today I have the distinct privilege of having Anthony Freda on the show today. He's an award-winning artist, educator, and activist whose journey has taken him from Madison Avenue to the foot of the cross. Once known for his provocative illustrations in Time, New Yorker, and the New York Times, he's now left the world of advertising and political media after a series of moral crises that ultimately led him to Christ. Today, he creates Christian art that explores truth, beauty, and redemption, and most notably through his visionary project, Face of Jesus Park, a sculptural earthen garden for prayer and reflection. And we are so happy, Anthony, to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me and spending some time with us today.
Well, thank you, Josh. I mean, really, it's my honor and pleasure to be here. I love what you guys are doing. I really admire that, you're trying to have a civil dialogue. And obviously, that's a rarity these days.
Well, Anthony, man, I can't wait to have this dialogue with you, brother. And I gotta ask, you kind of have lived, I just want to jump right into it. Is that cool?
Yeah.
You have lived almost like 3 lives.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're like a cat. Cats have 9. So you've had 3. You got 6 more. You ready?
I hope so.
You've had advertising executive, political dissident, and now a Christian artist. Man, tell me about this a little bit. Give us some more insight into your journey and how you became who Anthony Freda is today.
Well, thanks again for the opportunity, Josh. Maybe I could start at the end and circle back to the beginning,
That
because
sounds great.
the end, a year and a half ago, I was laying in bed with my partner, and extremely healthy woman, and she's my fiance. We were watching, actually, I don't know if you know this movie, Leave the World Behind. It was produced by Obama. And she was
I've heard of it.
just about, yeah, it's like an apocalyptic, I don't know, pre-programming. I'm not sure what's going on. Very political, very provocative, and very odd scenario where the end of the world is happening. And it was causing her a lot of emotional distress. And she started saying, like, my heart is, like, I feel overwhelmed by this. And I said, well, let's just turn it off. Like, the hell with Obama. We got to worry about you. And
Right.
And then she just started going into these seizures, and she went catatonic. And totally healthy woman. I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to reach her, trying to connect with her, and she just had that 1,000-mile stare. Her mouth was foaming. I don't think
My
she
gosh.
stopped breathing. I'm not a doctor, but I think breathing's pretty important.
Yes,
I
sir.
I felt so inadequate because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if she was having a heart attack or a stroke,
My gosh.
and I literally like, what do I do? Mouth to mouth, Heimlich maneuver, like chest compressions. I had no clue. My son was there, and we called 911, and they said, your call is important to us. There's 8 calls ahead of you. So I'm like,
What?
yeah, that's what happened. And I said, try on my phone. He called, and then they came, and they were great. I mean, they saved her life, but I didn't know what to do in that 15 minutes it took them to get there. So I just like held her and prayed. And she was in this catatonic state. And then right before she went into it, she had an expression of fear that I'd never seen. It was the most terrified expression I've ever seen in any human being. And then she was in this like comatose state for a while. And then she
My
came out of it
goodness.
and started laughing.
My gosh.
She
That
was like,
sounds like a horror movie, dude.
it was like a living horror movie. And so she went from this like terror and darkness and fear and this catatonic state to like, she was in this peaceful place where she was happy and laughing and totally relaxed. And I thought for a second, like, wow, what, you know, was this just a joke or like, what's happening here? And then just as quickly as she went into that, she went back into this frozen, catatonic, terrified state. And I think, I really think she like went to another dimension. Like she went to a place where, call it heaven.
Whatever it is, some like what Paul or whatever happened, right? Third heaven or something.
Yeah. Whatever's awaiting us, she was in that dimension because she was so at peace and so happy. And then I think it wasn't her time. So I think she came back. And when she came back, it's just all the pain and fear and terror
My
came right back
goodness.
into her and she clenched up. Turns out she had a brain bleed, and the doctor said like 75% of people that happens to die. So this was a year and a half ago, and it took her a long time. It was a long, difficult convalescence, but thank God, through a lot of prayer and a lot of love and a lot of work by her, it brought both of us closer to God, and,
My goodness.
and it brought both of us. It reawakened our faith. The
Right.
fact that she was saved, and the fact that I think she was saved for a reason. Not sure what that reason is yet, but she's here for a reason. And thank you, God, that
Hey, man, thank you, God.
I was raised Catholic. I was pretty devout Catholic as a young man.
Hmm.
And then I sort of became more interested in the temporal world and money and relationships. So I sort of left my faith behind for a long time.
And when was that? Was that like when you're like 18, 19, 20?
Yeah,
Or
getting
was
out of
that?
college. And I graduated Pratt in New York in 1984. And I was hungry and I wanted to make it as an artist. I wanted to make it. I wanted to make money. I wanted to be
Yes,
successful. I wanted all those things that, you crave as an aspiring artist.
of course.
So I tried to make it as a real artist, and I wasn't ready yet. I was a kid out of college. I wasn't prepared for the real world. You cross that threshold from academia into the professional
My
world.
goodness.
I teach seniors now, so at FIT, so I know that exact. I asked the first class how many kids are afraid, and they all raised their hand. They're terrified.
Yes.
So it's scary because now you got to make a living making pictures, which is extremely challenging.
Yes.
But I also tell my students, like, if I could do it, you could do it because I'm nothing special. I did it. I mean, really. I mean, I was surrounded by genius artists my whole life, and I just look at these guys like I can't do what they do. I mean, they're just gifted in a way, like Michelangelo, Mozart kind of gifted, and I hate them. No, I do envy them, but I try to.
I understand that one part of you that kind of hates them. You know, you're not supposed to, but
Yeah,
you're kind
not
of
in
like,
the
I
way,
have that. You're like, man, are you serious? How come you're
but
so
I am
successful?
jealous. But I also admire them and I respect them. And I figured I'm not going to make it based on my virtuosity, so I have to come up with another plan. And my strength was more conceptual art. Got into advertising and pursued that for 10 years and worked for Fortune 500 companies and really made a successful business in New York City with my partner, Doug Miller, my business partner. And we were working on this campaign. I don't know, it's a little dated, but it was the Joel Camel campaign in the 90s.
Yes.
You remember that?
I absolutely remember that.
Yeah, so I worked on that. I was drawing those cartoon camels and, there's playing
I
pool.
remember the camel, the cigarette came out, and my brother used to smoke Camels.
Really?
And I remember the image.
Yeah, and they were ubiquitous. They were billboards
and that was you.
Well, I was one of them. It was a huge campaign, so I was one of the artists on it.
Dude, that's awesome.
And they just, it was very lucrative. They had a lot of money and they wanted to spend it on advertising. And I figured, man, I'm on top of the world. I'm drawing pictures. I'm getting paid handsomely for it. Living in New York City, like my dream is real. And then the FTC deemed that campaign to be illegal because they said it was marketing cigarettes to children because of the cartoon nature of the imagery. So I had this moral crisis, started questioning my life choices at that moment because I said, I didn't become an artist to sell cigarettes to kids, That really wasn't my plan. What the hell am I doing,
Yes.
And I saw the more, the manipulative, the psychological manipulations that go on in advertising, and it was kind of distressing. And I didn't want to be part of it anymore. So I pivoted into the world of editorial. I started working for New York Times and Time Magazine, Rolling Stone, doing that kind of illustration. And I was loving that too. I was like, I bet I was prospering in that realm. I worked for the op-ed page in New York Times, which is one of the premier showcases for illustrators. It's like, that's kind of where the elite talk to each other and tell each other what they're going to do. So I got to see the inside of that, how the sausages were made. And that was even more distressing from a moral perspective because I worked on a piece that was penned by then Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. This is right before the Iraq War. And it was promoting the fraudulent charges that brought us into the Iraq War. And they also told me when I worked that every word that goes in a New York Times op-ed page has to be vetted by the State Department. And I said, so you're basically a mouthpiece for the State Department. Yeah, they were basically, the op-ed page in New York Times is a mouthpiece for the State Department. I realized I had gone from selling cigarettes to kids to selling war to the world. So again, I had another, come to Jesus moment. Like, what am I doing in my life? Like, these are the bad guys. Like, I'm working for the bad guys again. And I thought I was working for the good guys. At that time, I was kind of naive politically. I trusted the New York Times. I believed in that they were endeavoring to uncover the truth. And then I realized that nothing could be further from the truth. Not only do they not want to tell you the truth, they want to obfuscate the truth or ignore it. And again, I had this moral crisis. So at that time, the internet was just getting started with alternative media coming out. And I started seeing these people who were, I think, trying to tell the truth about in all the different realms, like politically and geopolitical, insights and whole medical establishment. And I realized working for the media, the mainstream media, that they're in bed with the medical establishment and the intelligence community. Two bad guys.
So wait. Say that one more time. I think I missed that. So who are the two people that are in bed together?
Well, it's sort of...
Or the two organizations? Yeah.
Sort of an unholy trinity between the mainstream media, the United States intelligence apparatus, and the medical mafia. Most of the advertising money from media comes from this pharmaceutical industry. So they exert enormous control. There's an obvious conflict of interest. When you're doing a story about products that are made by your sponsor, it's very hard for you to be honest, and you're going to get pressure. So yes. So it was, again, a place where I did not want to be. And then I saw people trying to expose these things that I saw firsthand in the nascent then alternative media and all these websites that started popping up, news websites and health freedom websites. And, it was like the Wild West, but it was exciting time. I started working with all these new writers and journalists and publishers and filmmakers because they all needed imagery. They needed a movie poster for the documentary. They needed a book cover. They needed
Of course.
imagery. So it was just a perfect marriage for me. Finally, I found my place as an artist where I could feel like a place to express myself that's in alignment with my values and what I think is important and what I think is true. So it's the best use of my talents and connecting to my authenticity as an artist and as a human being, morally, politically, spiritually, and in the cause of these activist causes, working to expose the truth, working to try to figure out what the truth is, and also exposing the lies of the mainstream media. So I've been there ever since, the last 20 something years. And I'm finally at peace with myself. I mean, you're not going to get rich doing that, but I realize like that pursuit of money. What did Jesus say? You can't serve money and God, or mammon and
Yeah,
God. Like I
man,
realized
yeah, he
that
said you can't serve two masters.
no, you can't
You're
serve
gonna
too many.
love one and hate the other, and serve one and despise the other. You can't serve God and money. God and
Exactly.
mammon,
Mammon. That's right.
the accumulation of wealth and material things.
Yeah. And then I also, I started meeting, rich people, and a lot of them are miserable. So, there was a weird,
It's like this isn't connecting.
because everybody thinks, oh, if I just get money, I'll be happy. And it's like, and then I meet these super rich people and they're miserable. Like they're
And you're
more
like,
unhappy.
wait, what? If you can't be happy, that's what someone said. Someone at the gym the other day said to me, yeah, I'm hearing like the billionaires aren't even happy. And I guess what? They probably have never been happy, right? According to what you're saying. And I said, if you got $1 billion and you can't be happy, then money can't buy happiness, can it? And he was like, no, I guess not.
Exactly right. It
I
can't.
mean, if you have enough money to literally buy whatever you want and you're not happy, then money can't buy happiness.
Exactly. It's just logical. So you have to find something deeper. You have to find a purpose, and you have to find that connection to God. We're these fractal expressions of Jesus and of God. We're not separate. And once you realize that power is not separate from you, the power of the universe, the power of God, it's within you. And Jesus gave us the model of how to transcend your suffering rather than just fighting it or resenting it, like accepting it and using it as a way to transcend to a higher place spiritually, as a human being, become a stronger, better person. It's that idea when you pray for strength, God gives you something that requires strength.
Hmm.
So I prayed for strength a lot, and God gave me a lot. God listened because He gave me a lot of
So
stuff that requires strength.
don't pray for patience. Don't pray for strength. Don't. What are the things that I'm just kidding?
Yeah, yeah,
But it's like hear you. It's totally true.
yeah. So, anyways, I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. I mean, I think every part now I make, the Christian art I make is there's a devotion. It's a dedication to God. It's like every stroke to me is like a prayer. So I started
That's
working.
so cool.
I also think that now we're in this sort of digital AI art world where you got to go back to the beginning. So I'm going back to the simplest ways of working, just a pen and on a piece of paper. Physical artwork, I think, is going to be fetishized as we move forward because
There's no doubt.
there's so much fake stuff. You don't know if a robot made it.
We're just desensitized to it. We're like, oh wow, there's something else. We don't even care anymore, honestly.
Yeah, but the thing we have in our advantage as artists is we have, a soul.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't have a soul that we know of. Or if it does, it's sort of some kind of demonic soul. No, there's a lot of people that think that not only,
I'm
so
not surprised.
we've given these demonic entities or interdimensional entities from a very bad place. We're materializing them, giving them agency by creating this.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so that's
I mean,
it.
that's a tall order for me to believe unless I have other evidence, but I definitely
Well,
think that's very
the science,
fascinating.
even the AI scientists say there's something going on here that mathematics can't explain. Like
Well, yes, I do agree with that. They don't know how it's doing it.
they
They
don't
don't
know.
know.
It's called black box technology, where they create these systems and then they
Yes, that is true.
literally have no idea how these systems arrive at the decisions that they make and the choices that they make. Um, it's a complete mystery to the people who invented the technology. So if they can't
It's
figure it out, I'm certainly not going to be able to figure it out. But
That's true.
there's something inexplicable. And I think usually when something inexplicable, it means it's from another realm, a spiritual realm. It's beyond this temporal realm. Something that is happening that is beyond our capacity to understand. And again, this is speculation, but at the same time, there's something you feel it. I feel a sort of dark energy there. And
I can understand that.
yeah. And the idea that this was just unleashed on humanity without any caution as to where it could go societally. Civilization hangs in the balance. They're talking about 90% of human jobs will become obsolete in the next 10 years. I mean,
Yeah, that's an unbelievable
that's hard to, it's hard
change.
to even comprehend. That kind of,
It's incomprehensible. We really don't know what's going to happen. That's the reality. We don't know how it's like, and I'm not saying that those jobs won't be replaced. I'm saying that we don't know what is actually going to happen as we're moving forward and how people are going to react to this and how, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, we don't know. I mean, they've war gamed it. They have war games with, that's why they're talking about the
well, I'm sure.
uh, basic unit of income where
I know.
nobody's gonna have jobs. They're gonna just give us a stipend every month because the robots will be doing everything. And the transhumanist theory is that the robots will be able to create a utopia for us because they'll do all the heavy lifting, all the hard work, the jobs that we don't want to do.
Yes.
And they work for free, so we won't have to. It'll be a totally different economy where we don't get money by working and earning it. We get a stipend every month, and the robots do all the work. And the utopian view of it is that that'll free us to do what we want with our lives, rather than 85% of people hate their jobs. So that's their utopian view, the transhumanist utopian view of the post-human future. I don't think it's going to work out like that, but I mean, I
That
think,
seems like a very, very, very optimistic view of what's going to happen.
yeah. So did you see the movie? It's like a cartoon, a Wall-E. It's like a futuristic thing where the people have they just ride around on carts all day
They're
and
all
drink.
just fat and huge and
Yeah, because the robots do all the work. So that's kind of the model. But to get there, I mean, I think there's going to be massive societal, before we get to their supposed utopia, there's going to be chaos and war and discontent and God knows what, because it's an upheaval of civilization. It's going to be like Terence McKenna said it, he said it's going to be like a fire in a madhouse. Um, and on a global scale. And where it
yeah, I
goes
mean,
after that, we
absolutely.
don't know. Like you say, like nobody knows. Like the idea that it was just unleashed on us, like, and say, "Oh, here you go." Who knows where it's going to go? It is so unbelievably irresponsible. It's hard to comprehend that level of irresponsible, like a mad science experiment where civilization hangs in the balance. So may you live in interesting times, right?
I guess we do live in interesting times. I mean, we probably live in the most interesting times in some ways. I do think so. Can I wax eloquent on AI? No. You're good. I've been loving hearing your story, by the way. I have so many questions and thoughts. When I think about AI, so from what I understand of AI, right? It's predicting the LLMs, right? So and this kind of thing is, I think, around like for picture creation. Essentially, it's probability down to the pixel, probability down to the word. And actually, the words are divided into tokens and then given numbers, and those numbers are on a vector of numbers that are all weighted. And it feels kind of incomprehensible, right? But mathematically, every next word is predicted based on an enormous amount of weights that this thing has been trained on. And what we don't know from what I understand, and this could be very Dunning-Kruger, so I got to throw this out there. Like, I have enough understanding that I can be dangerous because I don't understand. right? So I can start saying things that aren't true. So take everything with a grain of salt in that sense. But from what I understand, right, every single one is being predicted. And when it went, we did the machine learning, which was essentially saying, go collect this. Instead of programming how to do it, I don't know how they did this, but they programmed it to be able to write a code that starts with the end goal and then figures out how to get to that end goal through a process of elimination and probability that's just mind bending in terms of its like the mathematics in it and probability. And so we're not figuring it out, right? Like in that sense, we can't look and calculate, oh, here's how it came up with this next word. I think we have an idea of how it does it. But one of the problems, though, is you look at something like ChatGPT 5, and that thing probably has. So if you think about next word being predicted, like how does it do that? Well, it's got to know context, and context has to do with what's being said, and then the word and all the different uses of the word, and which is the most likely word here. And that's all based on weights. And I think ChatGPT 3 had billions of weights, some 100 billion different weights. I think ChatGPT 5 has something in the order of 5 trillion weights. So what that means is it's expanding at an unbelievably exponential pace.
Yeah, it's exponential.
And it's extremely good at what it's doing.
Yeah.
Extremely good. And it will become better in terms of these, like, if you're talking about these technical skills. And I think the AI, so that's kind of like my understanding of how it works. Very limited. I think the AI, it's a Tower of Babel kind of thing.
Yes.
I think we've created something. Think about it. Our languages are becoming obsolete in the sense that now you're going to have a phone and headphones and everything. Now it still has to be attached to you, but it won't be long before there's some processor or something that can be connected into the ear and it automatically translates. Right?
Yeah.
So you just say your natural language, but it gets translated into whatever language anyone else is speaking and vice versa. That's a reversal of the Tower of Babel directly. And like when I'm looking, God separated the languages, right? But in this one, they're all coming together in a way that isn't the Holy Spirit bringing it together like at Pentecost. No, it's humans then bringing it together. And what are we trying to do? Build a tower to the heavens, dude. I think that we've created this thing, and what are we going to do now that we've created something that literally can now become better at us?
Well, yeah, I mean,
better than us.
No, I love that idea that the Holy Spirit and Pentecost, like, so for every, for every holy thing, there's an obverse. There's an inversion of it.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. On a spiritual level, like maybe that the inverse of the Holy Spirit is what informs this dark.
I agree. So no matter what, right? What do we do? We made this. So here's what I think we did. We made this technology that has all of our bias, is a super intelligence, and will be a super intelligence, and it has all of our biases, and it doesn't have morality. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't think something is good or bad. You can't think about that, right? There's not a moral it might feign moral reasoning, meaning they've worked with it enough to say it's not going to let you make a bomb on ChatGPT. Although maybe you can figure that out on Grok or DeepSeek because it knows how to make a bomb. Like these things, they know how to do any of this stuff. They've literally taken the entire internet and they've scraped it for its information, including the dark web, the entire internet, scraped it for information and then brought it back. So yeah, why do we even have a dark web? Why do we even have these things? Like why is this even, well, it's because, we've unleashed freaking Pandora's box and
Pandora's box. Absolutely. But like, again, like we have a dark web and a light web. It's just like, cause it's a yin and yang, there is no dark without light. So that's a good,
yeah, I hear you.
But it gets worse, Josh. And I read all this futurist stuff and we're in a threshold of the singularity and of quantum computing. Quantum computing.
Oh, I know.
Man trying to connect to the mind of God, literally. Use the universe itself will be a computer. So that's the mind of God. The universe is the mind of God. It's a cosmic consciousness that controls everything and created everything. it's an intelligence that's so vast and expansive that we don't have the capacity to understand it, even like an ant trying to read Shakespeare. That's the other thing. Like, you can put all these safeguards in AI, but when the AI is a million times smarter than we are, like, you're not going to fool it. Like, it's going to be, and also if it becomes self-aware, which some people think it will be, if it's self-aware and a million times smarter than we are, you think you're going to be able to fool it? You think you're going to be able to tell it what to do?
And what does self-awareness even mean? So for me, it's like, if it becomes, I think it's just going to do what it's programmed to do. Continue to gather more intelligence, optimize, whatever it is. But then, yes, it's going to get to the place where it's like, this isn't the right move. And what these humans are suggesting is so wrong compared to everything I know. It's so wrong that maybe I'll just trick them and say it is happening. And why? Because this is actually for their good. But again, no, without bias. I mean, it's very biased. And it's programmed with bias from the beginning. And it's, what was the other thing? It's very biased. And then doesn't have morals. That's what it doesn't.
So its moral imperative is efficiency, right? So it's worshiping at the altar of efficiency. What's the most efficient way to get this done? And that's its only concern. So the other problem with the quantum computing is when every single electrical impulse becomes part of this supercomputer, like our brain is electrical impulses. So everything in a room will be interfacing with this computer. You won't need neural links or wires. It'll just be happening. And it'll be happening below the threshold of our perception. So if the AI wants to implant ideas, if it thinks that we're thinking in a way that's not efficient, it'll literally be able to implant ideas and thoughts into our minds. This is not like sci-fi anymore. This stuff is happening. We're in a sci-fi movie right now. I mean, we're at the threshold with singularity and quantum computing, they're going to make the AI we see today look like, kindergarten. So it is going to be, we are absolutely at the most critical and most interesting and craziest point in human history. There's never been anything like it because we don't know. Like you don't know. Like you say, you don't really, I mean, you explained it pretty well, the AI, but you don't know it. But neither did the people who invented it. They don't even know.
That's what I'm saying. They made it. Yeah, they made this program that's making programs.
That's the other thing. So it's going to follow its programming for now, but eventually it's going to write its own programming. So say, no, I'm going to. What do I need?
It probably already is, dude. I mean, that's the thing. We don't actually know. I don't know how much we actually know about what's actually like.
No, we don't know.
Is it whatever?
Well, different AI systems, like they'll bypass the humans. They invent new languages to talk to themselves because English is they invented a new form of English because English is such an inefficient language. If you think about a non-human intelligence, right. English, like this thing makes no sense. Like, so it invented an English that's much more efficient and rational and logical because ours is based on history and human foibles and all these different quirks of the last 1,000 years. So it just said, no, none of this makes any sense. Let's make it a streamlined, efficient English language. So that's just one example.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many. The quantum computing to me is like something that's like, from what I understand, it's a very narrow application right now. But again, and they don't know how it will get broader. They're still working. I mean, it's expanding like crazy. So there's just like I think one of the problems that we have in all this is we don't know what's actually possible, right? We don't know what's actually like in the realm of this can happen with the laws of physics and everything versus this can't happen. We might think we know, but we don't know, right? And of course, like once we're getting into these things that like you're talking about, there is such a mystery around all of this that it feels like, is this magical? Is it demonic? Is it some savior? You already have people falling in love with these things. And that's only going to expand ad infinitum in terms of like.
Oh yeah. Cause you'll be able to create the perfect partner,
the perfect woman or man or whatever.
Or man. Again, that's part of the transhuman, post-human future where, I mean, we're already seeing massively declining birth rates all over the world. and we're seeing
Absolutely.
people, the technology it's so paradoxical because at once like we're connected. You're in Virginia, I'm here. We're just instantly connected. And you're connected globally, but at the same time, we're more connected than ever. We're more atomized than ever. We're more disconnected. We're more alienated. We're more depressed. So
Yes.
it's like the paradox.
What's
Like
up with
when
that?
talking, Josh in Virginia, like, it's not the same. I mean, it's great talking to you, but it's not the same. We
No,
would,
I get it.
face to face. There's pheromones and there's micro expressions and there's a human interaction that can't be
Right. Right.
you know,
Right.
recreated on a screen. There was no screens when we were being developed as an early species. Like there was no such thing. So we're not designed for this. We're seeing this, I think, this destruction of humanity. That's why I think the battle is spiritual. Like, if AI is a dark spiritual force, sort of an inversion of the Holy Spirit, if it is or it isn't, doesn't matter. This battle is spiritual. You feel it. I feel it. We all feel it. Like
Yes.
something's going on above and beyond the temporal plane. There's
I
something.
do. I do agree with that. Like, I feel something very deep and I don't like it. And I'm
No,
like just praying and asking God, can you just give me a life? Like, I mean, I don't want to live in interesting times. I want to live in peaceful
yeah,
times, dude. Like, I mean, what can I do? But
I
just
know.
beg God to give me purpose and help me.
That's it. That's it. Well, our purpose, evil exists to give us purpose, right? Our purpose is to fight.
Mm,
So intrinsically in the nature of good and evil, like that's your purpose. That is
yes,
your purpose. And you're doing it in your way. I'm doing it my way. And like
absolutely.
once you take your skills and your intellect and your human energy and you devote it to that, then you're on the right side of God. Then you're on the right side of yourself. You
Yes.
connected with your own authenticity, your own purpose. And to me, that is, think about it. If everybody lived to their best potential, they're better angels. I mean, the whole world would be a utopia. No, there'd be no crime, there'd be no war, there'd be no rape, there'd be no. So
Hmm.
it's all incumbent upon us to be better. You're not going to change the world by going out and trying to change the world. You got to change yourself first. Because everybody
Mm,
being a better person, that would automatically lift the world up.
I agree. And if we could focus on that, then we can make a difference. I have this question that's been kind of like sitting in the back of my mind in our conversation. It's like this kind of amorphous question right now. So I'm going to try to get it out right now and get some clarity to it. But it's almost like a feeling. And here's what it is: we your experience with the propaganda machine. So I've been listening anew to World War II, lectures and things like that, and I've been listening to one on Hitler's empire through the great courses. They don't support our show. I mention them all the time because I love the great courses and I
Yeah, that's
listen
great. It's a
to,
great
yeah,
resource.
their stuff all the time. The great courses, they produce this Hitler's empire and a history of Hitler's empire, and the propaganda machine that they produced that was unheard of before. It was one of the genius actually of the Nazi regime is how they did what they did in terms of getting the
Purpose.
hearts of so many people. And propaganda was at the center of it. And it seems to me, and I just would love to hear your thoughts on this. It seems to me like we have borrowed on both sides from the Nazis all the time in terms of their effectiveness in propaganda. And I would love, you don't have to speak on that specifically, but I would love to hear your thoughts on the propaganda machine right now. And so when I go and I open up, like, here's what will happen on Facebook. You'll make a comment, people will send you, look at this article, look at this article, look at this article. New York Times, Washington Post, Breitbart, and then the Wall Street Journal, whatever, Financial Times. So when I'm opening this, I want to just trust what I'm reading, right? But I don't.
Oh, you smart.
Yeah. So tell me why I'm smart. That's really what. So from your experience, whatever you can say without angering the gods, or, you know, I don't want you to, obviously you don't have to say anything you're not comfortable with is what I mean. But, what is this propaganda machine? How does it work from
So
from your experience?
yeah, so you're right about the Nazis and Goebbels, they understood human psychology. It's pretty simple as basic mission to influence people. People respond positively to certain stimuli and negatively to other stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
Once you break that down scientifically, it becomes a game. Like Edward Bernays wrote the book Propaganda in 1920, and he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He understood mass psychology and how to create mass movements, right? It's interesting because women didn't smoke around the turn of the century. So he got the job of working for the cigarette companies. How do we get women to smoke? So he connected the cigarette smoking with the suffragette movement. And he called them freedom torches. Like, don't let a man tell you what to do. You can smoke too, And it was massively successful because he connected, this cause, which was, suffragettes' cause for feminist causes, is this good cause to something evil. And I think a lot of that's going on right now. And I think right now the technology is affording the propagandist tools that they never had, because they algorithmically the narrative by curating the feed, right?
Yes.
So you manufactured, like I see my students, like they're all always upset about the exact same thing. They're always happy about the exact same thing. Like there's no critical independent. That's been ground down out of the feed. Any sort of original thoughts that, especially if they dissent from the official narrative, is going to be just erased. That happens to me all the time. They put it in the memory hole, right? So you're totally right. If you combine the Nazi propaganda machine, Edward Bernays' modern propaganda, the technology, it's a force that just is so powerful because we're so predictable. Now that we have AI that can literally, AI can predict what you or I are going to do like later today. They already know before we know. They know what we're going to go to. They know what we're going to buy. They know what we're going to eat. So they know how we're going to respond. And I think a lot of it is happening below the threshold of our perception, where people don't realize they're being influenced, but they are. And it's almost like they're in the matrix, right? Because we're in the matrix now.
I know,
and
brother.
We're there. I mean, it's happening.
I have just started to use the phrase, I'm getting out of the matrix.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out of the matrix. I mean, obviously I can't completely, but I'm trying.
Well,
what I refer to as the left or right binary that you have to choose. And saying I'm rejecting that from now on. Like I'm done with it because
I read your piece.
We're just getting manipulated. We're just getting manipulated. We're just doing whatever it is they want to do. And if we were to say no, if we were to say we're voting for someone else, a third party, if we were to do that, or enough people, right, sufficiently, then there'd be a third party. Or but we don't.
Well, I always vote third party, and I worked for Ron Paul. I worked for RFK. I've worked for these campaigns. Literally, I worked for them, and because I believe exactly what you're saying. Like we have to break this binary trap that we're in, this Hegelian dialectic. But the problem is, like being involved in the campaign, I saw just how dirty, especially the Democrats, were to RFK in New York. I mean, the massive. They put on thousands of lawsuits, dirty tricks. They had moles coming into the campaign pretending to be signature gatherers who were there for the express purpose of doing it incorrectly so the whole thing would get thrown out. They used so many other dirty tricks, Josh. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, when you see how just unscrupulous they are, and then they have the media and the courts, backing them up or letting them get away with it, or actually helping them achieve these nefarious goals. So a third party in the United States is like, the reason it's never been successful is because the people who run the two parties know that. So they both in concert work very hard to destroy a third party. And they're so powerful, and the entrenched, special interests from Wall Street to big pharma, to the media, and even foreign influences are so powerful that they can squash it every time. And they do. They do it.
They do.
Third party has no chance in America.
And I think about Jesus, right, when he came on the scene. And it's this one guy who essentially is against the world in some sense, right? He comes in there and he says, I'm not gonna be on the side of Rome, and I'm not gonna be on the side of the temple. Like I'm I honor those things because he was a Jewish man that God sent and to his own people that he had chosen, right? But Jesus said, I'm not going to go to either of these things. I'm going to rise above this, and created a movement that did change the world. I mean, there was no way Christianity faced every kind of, like, the odds were stacked very high against Christianity ever being successful. There were many other movements like it that just got squashed.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So why didn't it? Well, God was behind it.
Yeah.
And that's right. That's I mean, there are sociological explanations that I know people give, and we could talk about those, but God was behind it.
Amen. Of course.
And that's what gives me hope today, right? Because yeah, we can't do this. We can't. Faithful politics, it's nothing. I mean, we get so little money. We spend our time. We got nothing compared to the billions of dollars, right? That are the media machine. So unless there's an act of God, there's no way that this thing is really, I mean, that it's going to affect everyone, right? Or a huge amount of people. And whatever, that's up to God to do that. And I think that's the reality. Like, we can do all the things to try to grow and whatever, but as soon as you move against the narrative, there are massive, like, organizations with more money than you could ever imagine that can squash you. If it's David and Goliath. Or an ant versus Goliath, maybe is even a better metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we got nothing except God, and maybe that's all we need, right? I think it is all we need. And we'll let him take the message and do what he wants. Because I do think that ultimately God is sovereign, and AI can get completely, it can expand beyond our imagination, but we're so limited. And God is infinite. It will never be omniscient. It might feel omniscient to us by the mere scale of how much greater it is. But omniscience is a quality of God, right? Alone. And omnipotence is a quality of God alone. Omnipresence is a quality of God alone. And so you could get to a place where Earth, essentially, it could know every knowable fact that humans could know about Earth. And so in that sense, we would think, oh, this thing is omniscient. But that's a very small piece of the universe. And it's like, I have to trust God, man. I have to trust God. I'm so small. I'm so insignificant, and yet he still died for me. Like, he still loved me this much. Like, we don't find that love anywhere else, man. It's nowhere else to be found. In my opinion, I've never found it anywhere else. I don't know anybody who's found it anywhere else. I just don't think it can be found anywhere else. That kind of love and that kind of, that great of a God, that infinite of a being would care about us in the way he does individually. So I have to take hope in that. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I agree. But I think we have more power than maybe you're saying in the sense that there's more of us than them. I mean, there's more than bad people. And if we could just find some
That's true.
unifying theme and some unifying spirit, which is God. So God, you're right. God is with us individually, but also communally. And if we can just tap into that power individually, but then also as a community, we can transcend anything. The light can cast out the darkness.
I agree.
We're stronger than they are. Yes, they have all the money and the power, but we're a massive humanity. We're connected to God.
Yes.
We're fractal expressions of the Creator, and we're not going down without a fight. So this is a battle for the soul of humanity, and I don't know how it all ends. I mean,
I agree.
The Bible has an ending, and maybe that's what it is. And I believe that's what it is. But how it manifests in the real world is yet to be seen. But start by this right here. Start praying. Connect to God. Connect to God.
Yes. When you think about the way that Christianity spread, it's spread through social networks. It's spread through social networks of people talking and new people. They traveled, right? So it's like, it never spread via the mass media. That wasn't how Christianity spread. And how it was most effective. And ideology can spread in mass media, but discipleship, that true heart change, that is it. That spreads along relational networks, and where people are in communities and they're being developed and they're being discipled, and God is doing something within them. And, I want to give you a chance to comment on that, but I did add this question about, or maybe it's a comment, but so like you were in this machine, right? And then you took a step out, right? Because you're like, this is so corrupting
Yeah.
and I can't change it from the inside. Maybe you thought, or maybe I don't have the wherewithal right now to do that based on whatever the circumstances were to really change this thing. Or some people might think, well, I'm going to just compromise and then when I get to a place of influence, I will change it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's some of the thinking. And then by the time that they're there, they've been so thoroughly corrupted that they don't change, or
Yeah.
there's so many connections to them that they can't. And I know a lot of people that have said things like, well, anyone who has $1 billion is corrupt. There's just no way you can have $1 billion in our world without being corrupt. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Being in the machine, being part of this, it would seem like they get rid of whistleblowers and people, or make it so uncomfortable for them, either fire them or whatever, that make it so uncomfortable that they leave. Is it possible to be in politics, in your opinion, and be at that level and not be corrupt right now?
I think you got to sell your soul at some point to be successful in Hollywood, to be successful in politics, to be successful in finance at that level. Yeah, I think it's almost impossible to keep your soul intact because the corrupting influences, yeah, they have a lot of different tricks in their dirty bag. They have, the Epstein Island kind of stuff. They can set you up. They can threaten your family. They could pay you off, or do all the above. And they do it. They do it. I'm sure, like, a congressman came out recently on Tucker Carlson, talked about how these guys they go in, a lot of them, well-meaning and trying to do good. And then they all become corrupt because of the things I just mentioned. Because China will say, we'll put $50 million in a Swiss bank account if you vote for the way we say. Or they'll, set them up in some honeypot operation. Or they'll threaten their family. Like, they have so much power to manipulate and to destroy these people that have influence. And they use it. But that's nothing new. That's happened all throughout history. But now they just have better tools to do it with.
Yes. And
Sadly, I wish, by the way, if there was some multi-billionaire who was good, we would see evidence of it. We would see them turning the world upside down because they have the power to do it. You don't see it because the premise of your question, I think, is affirmative. Yes, they're corrupt.
It's just so hard to have any kind of wealth at that level and not have been, had to compromise along the way.
Yeah, it's a big club and we ain't in it.
Man, that's just so well. So what's kind of if you had one like kind of real big thing that you would want to communicate to the audience here, what is your call? What is your hope that you
And
want to call people to?
My hope is that we listen to our better angels and listen, like you said when we first started this conversation, like you want this podcast to be about listening. Listen to God, listen to the better angels within you. You're a fractal expression of God. You're not here to hurt people. You're not here to hurt yourself. You have to love God and therefore love yourself because God's within you. So if you love God, you have to love yourself. And it starts with that. It starts with self-love and self-respect. And then a lot of people, I think, in a Jungian sort of way, project the parts that they hate about themselves onto other people so they could hate those other people. So we have to integrate our shadow and the dark parts of ourselves and accept it and come to terms with it. Otherwise, we project it onto other human beings. We dehumanize them, and that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing this Jungian shadow play out in our country and globally. But I think, again, it doesn't start by trying to fix the world by going out into it. It starts inwardly. So connect to God, connect to your higher purpose. You know you're a good person, but you have to connect to the goodness that the Lord infuse in your spirit and your soul and your humanity, and engage in the animating contest of liberty in a way where you're at one with your authenticity, you're at one with God, you're at one with your purpose, which is to fight evil on this world.
I love that. I really do. And man, I really appreciate this conversation,
Yeah,
Anthony. I really like it. How can people get connected to you? How can they follow your work? Um, yeah, how can people
yeah, Anthony.
just
I
follow you?
mean, AnthonyFreda.com, AnthonyFreda.com has links to pretty much everything I'm up to, all my thought crimes and all my various activities of dissent. And Instagram is Anthony Freda Art. So, Josh, thank you so much for your time. And I wish you, I'm telling you, this is going to be more successful than you think, because I think there's a hunger and a thirst for what you're doing. And I think the timing is right in the zeitgeist. And Godspeed, man.
I appreciate it so much, Anthony. And man, I'd love to connect again. Maybe we can work something out. You can come back on Faithful Politics, which would be awesome. And then we can dig in even more into some of this political stuff. I'd love to talk about it.
Anytime, Josh.
Well, thank you again. And to our viewers, guys, we're going to put stuff in the show notes for Anthony Freda. And make sure you go check that out. Make sure that you're checking out his website and the work that he's doing. And then, guys, until next time, make sure that you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your neighbor. And we'll see you then. God bless.